If you were tasked to go back to the Garden of Eden and stop the fall of humanity, what would you do? Hello, hello! Welcome to my channel. My name is Brandon Wheeler. The reason I got a straw in my mouth is because I had like heat stroke thing when I was in the army, so I can't talk right unless I bite down something. Besides that, so that's why I have to. It just helped to bite down or something to talk. Why that's a thing, we don't know. I've not figured that out yet. Anyway, I do some video stuff on my thing, going to college. I've been writing books. I've written 2 books so far. I finally just finished my third, but you're not here for that. You're here for the book review. What book review is this? The second in C.S. Lewis's The Space Trilogy of Perelandra, right here. Now, what is Perelandra, you may ask? From the back. Perelandra continues the adventures of Dr. Ransom, an extraordinary tale. Ransom is fighting against the most destructive of human weaknesses, temptation. When he must battle evil on a new planet, Perelandra, after it's invaded by a dark force that strives to create a new world order on a peace-loving planet. So, that is what the synopsis of it is. This is all 3 books of his space trilogy in one. So it's like, oh, okay. So I've read the second one. It's 190 pages compared to the first one. It's 158, at least according to this. And I almost want to say this is the most complex and possibly best thing C.S. Lewis wrote. I mean, I haven't read all the Narnia stuff. I still only remember the first Narnia, Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe, which is still favorite. But Perelandra is like, it just feels like he's going all out with this. Now, to give synopsis and everything of what happens, again, out of the silent planet, Dr. Ransom was kidnapped by these like mad scientist, physicist dude and everything, taken to Malacandra, which is basically Mars, and was supposed to be offered as human sacrifice, but he was not. And even the creatures over there like, what is human sacrifice? And everything else. But in this one, he's specifically contacted by the Elendio, which are kind of like angels, you can say. Basically angels. And are sent to go to Perelandra. What is Perelandra? Basically Venus. He is sent there kind of like in a coffin thing. He gets back a year later, and this is a recounting of the story of what happens. Now, he's sent there without any clothes on and everything, because like that's just how the place was. He gets there and he sees how it's like multiple like waves, how ocean it is, like the lands are not fixed, but they're there and they kind of like move and everything like that. The colors are vast and everything with all the different stuff. There's different creatures, but the creatures are not like the ones of Mars where they're kind of like sentient. They're just kind of like regular animals. Like he meets this like little dragon lizard thing, kind of acts like a dog when he, scratches his chin and everything like that. And I was like, okay. But then he meets this, surprisingly to his thing, a naked lady, which is like, what? But she is naked, but again, Garden of Eden type of thing. She's green, so I was thinking like what, Jelly Green Giant, but she's just referred to as the lady. And it's like basically Eve in the purest innocence form, which you'd say, that's fine. And she's looking, waiting for the king and everything to return because he was taken away from her. She doesn't know where he's at, but she's with the animals and everything. She's experiencing, the world as it is. You think, okay, this is interesting, Garden of Eden stuff, but what happens? Well, we get to Dr. Weston again. Weston arrives. Who is Weston? He's the mad scientist dude from the first one. And beforehand, his thing was like, I'm going to spread the thing of humanity. Like I was talking about how he'd be perfect for the Imperium of Man and all that crap. Well, not anymore. Because it's been a bit between the two stories, because now it's World War II and everything like that. It's been like at least a couple of years. Weston arrives and he's admitted that, he's gone to all these different things. He experienced stuff. Then he's like, spirituality is the thing to be spreading. And Ransom is talking with him like, what are you talking about? Where are you at right now? Let me tell you something. I was reading this and I got to a point where I absolutely hated Weston. I hated him so much on like a Junko Enoshima level of hate. I despise Junko Enoshima from the Danganronpa thing. It's just that game and looking at that series thing is like, I hate Junko. I absolutely freaking hate Junko. That's how much I hated Weston up until this point. I hated him because he's literally like the whole spirituality thing. Oh, it's all the same. You're God and devil. It's all the same. I am one and the same. He's like, and it's just like, I hate you. I hate you. I've not hated a literary character like that, but I hate Weston until that point happens, and then he has like a seizure thing. He falls over. Ransom's trying to help him, but he doesn't know what to do. He's trying to maybe go back to the lady and stuff. He leaves Weston because he's thinking maybe he died. Well, turns out Weston didn't die. If you don't get where I'm going at, we're going with spoilers here. Keyword, but again, this book is like 80 years old, so it's a little late for spoilers. But he meets Weston again, basically killing like frogs on a beachhead. And Weston is not really Weston. He's got a twisted, wicked smile on his face, which in a dream I've seen that before. A very devilish smile, if you catch where I'm going. He's become possessed. Literally, he said, "Oh yeah, I'm your god and devil." He literally becomes the devil in a way. A demon or the devil inhabits him. Now, what does this have to do with the Garden of Eden? Well, you see, this world has not been tainted by Satan's forces or anything, or the bent Melicandra, as the first one he discovered that they called Vocandra, the silent planet Earth, or Tellus. It's not been corrupted like Earth has. So now, guess what? He's come to the world, and he's trying to speak, and he starts speaking to the lady. Starts talking to her about, hey, maybe you should do something. See, the thing in the Garden of Eden on here on Earth was telling Adam and Eve, hey, you see this tree of knowledge of good and evil? Don't eat from that. It doesn't say that you can't touch it, just don't eat it. They ate from it, and that's where we are. Well, they have this thing on the Perelandra, Venus, that there's this land called the fixed land. Like it doesn't move and everything like that. It's like a stable continent. That's how I was mentioning things going up and down. They can go to the land. They can go there, but they cannot stay there. They cannot stay there and sleep overnight. That's all they've been commanded to do. That's the one command she knows they cannot do. They can't go there and stay there for a night. That's it. Doesn't mean they can't visit it. They can absolutely visit it, because that's how they find Weston. They find him on the fixed land, but she has to leave. That's why Ransom tells us, like, you have to go. So she's like, yeah, I must leave. She leaves, so that way she can stay true to that commandment. So that way she's not on the fixed land. Well, here comes Weston, or as it starts being dubbed, the Unman, which I find a very interesting way of describing it, because it describes a man, you could say like a zombified corpse, but it's a man being spoken through by a demonic entity. It's like taking away all the humanity that was there. It's like an unman thing, which is like a fascinating just thing going through. But Ransom's trying to counteract everything he's trying to tell, because the unman is trying to convince the lady, you should go to the fixed island and sleep there. And she's like, but we have this command to not do that, because maybe when I am older, I will be able to do that. When it means like older, it means like wiser, because they say like, well, yesterday I was younger, because yesterday was a day prior, so I was younger then. Tomorrow I will be older. You're making me older, like wiser, smarter. And it's just the way how it's determined how they pronounce things. But it gets very just like, it becomes apparent this is where it became apparent to me, like where Lewis was going with this, and I'm like, oh crap, this is what we're doing. We're trying to do the Garden of Eden, and it becomes apparent that even Ransom realizes that in the story. Is like, this is what we're doing. We're trying to stop the devil from making Eve fall, and this is the first. I will say this is really I can think of the first time feeling tense in a story of just like, oh gosh, it's shut him up, please shut him up, because it's just like, what do you do? Literally, what do you do to stop this? Because even his quote unquote things he's saying are quote unquote right in some ways. That's the whole freaking temptation about it. But it's always a catch-22 with it. It's true, but it's not true. That's the whole thing of a good lie, because it's has a little bit of truth in it, but no, because he's trying to convince him, like, you could be going to the world and see, but if we disobey his command, then we would be doing wrong. Well, if you go to the world and stay in the fixed land, you would be doing something better for your Meladio God. Meladio is like God. You'll be doing something better for Meladio because he was seeing that you have grown older. You have gone wiser to be able to make these decisions, and that even in disobedience, you have obeyed because you're doing what's best for your species. And he starts using all the physical experiences, like from Earth, of like speaking of all the great Greek tragedy heroines and bullcrap and things like that, of how women have to be pushed forward and everything's pushing that push forward women lie against men and all that crap. Even though the lady keeps trying to peck against that and everything like that, it's more and more Dr. Ransom starts seeing, more and more she's considering it. More day by day, she's considering it. And it's just like, no matter, because one issue is that, her thing of sleep is just kind of like, oh, I can sleep now. She could just fall asleep, but she doesn't exactly know what sleep is or that she needs sleep. Whereas Dr. Ransom being fully human is like, because the lady's basically human, but Dr. Ransom is on a sleep schedule. He has to fall asleep. The problem is with the unman being possessed by a demonic entity, he doesn't need sleep. So anytime the lady falls asleep, Dr. Ransom's just left with this unman, and he's just waiting for him to do something. The unman just starts saying his name, Ransom, 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 Ransom. And it's just like, what? Nothing. Ransom, 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 Ransom. What? What do you want? Nothing. I think he's calling Ransom nothing, essentially, but it describes him as being like how Dr. Ransom views is kind of like, this is basically like a penitent child just trying to spoiled child trying to do stuff, and it's like, eh. But the problem is that because he has to fall asleep, the young man doesn't need to fall asleep. So when he falls asleep and the lady wakes up, he has all that time to spend with the lady to start talking and everything. Like, it's a horrifying moment, but he wakes up and he goes up to them. They're dressed in purple feathers. Where the heck you get these purple feathers? And he even asks her, lady, where have you gotten these things? Where have you done? She's like, oh, the birds dropped these, and these are things to make us like look beautiful and everything. Do I not look beautiful? And he's like, no, I don't know what. In reality, the guy killed the birds and took the feathers off them, but he made it seem to her like they dropped them. No, they didn't drop them. It was literally, I hate to say that was a horror sequence, but it was. So it comes to the point that, he's thinking like, this can't go on. Like, God, what did you send me here to do? What am I supposed to do? And he's like, I sent you here. You are the miracle. You are going to stop this. I'm like, how am I supposed to stop the devil? But the Lord kind of puts the lady and all the creatures of the land to sleep, and he gets to basically a fight to the death against the unmanned Weston, chasing him half across the globe and everything else like that. So he finally does him in and climbs back up. But it's just like, you see the ending where he meets the king, quote unquote, the man that the lady was waiting for. You see that they didn't become corrupted. They didn't fall, and that they stayed true and everything. And now the world's going to be a better place. And then they speak of the future, of what's going to happen, how the quote unquote assaults on Earth is going to happen. Like we talk about Revelation, how that's going to happen and everything, and that they're going to be part of that in such a way. And it's just like, huh? That's what I'm saying. Like, this could be C.S. Lewis's probably his best writing. But there's one more book called The Hideous Strength. It's just like, wow. But it really, Perelandra, wow. It is really interesting. Highly, highly recommend. And to me, it might be his best writing. Like, seriously, it is. I think it is. I haven't read the third book yet, and I haven't read all the Narnia stuff yet, but I'm going to in the future. I actually got for Christmas a book of C.S. Lewis called Reflections of the Psalms, which I think I'm going to try to read like during lunchtimes during the new year. So that's the next book I'm going to kind of read on and off during the days and everything. Now, for my next book, I'm going to take a break from this. I'm not going to read The Hideous Strength yet, because the two books out of the Silent Planet and Pearlandra combined are 350-something pages. The Hideous Strength is 380 pages by itself. So this is like it's like a 400-page book that is just like I don't know if I want to spend to that yet. So I'm going to take a break from that, and my next book I'm going to read is the first Warhammer book I've got, Krieg, a deathcore novel by Steve Lyons, gets into their origin and stuff like that. That is the next book I'm going to read, along with the C.S. Lewis reflection on the Psalms. Uh, then after I'm done with this, I'm going to get back to this. That way I just have, a little break from reading. But, Perelandra, what do you think of it? Have you read it? Again, highly recommend, but it's just gives that picture of like that realization of like, oh gosh, being sent basically to a Garden of Eden to prevent the devil from ruining another Eden type thing is like it's scary. It's really scary because it's just like how do you combat it? So it came to literally like have to literally fisticuffs blows trying to kill the thing. It's like wow, all this stuff. It just gets into it and just it to me it's just definitely it's probably is my favorite C.S. Lewis writing so far. But again, I haven't read that Hideous Strength, and I still get reflections on that and all the Narnia stuff and things to read for C.S. Lewis in the future. So alrighty, I know it's a long review, but this is an exciting book. All right, so again, get into Hideous Strength after the next read, and I will see you in the next one. Tell me what you thought of the book, and we'll see you in the next. Goodbye.